of Stirling Bridge. Now, so the English army, they're used to these kind of big, flat, wide open battlefields so that their knights on horseback can just charge at the enemy, you know, but in this case they had to first cross the river to get to the enemy, and for some reason we'll never properly understand, the English commanders chose not to march upstream and find a shallow place for everyone to cross together. They chose to use that narrow wooden bridge, right? And for the Scots, really, that was kind of like all their birthdays and Christmases had come at once, to be honest, because they're hugely outnumbered by the English. And if they'd had to meet on a conventional battlefield, I can pretty much guarantee you they would have lost that battle. But what happened, the English are coming across the bridge, you can fit about 3 horses across the way, maybe about 10 back the way. All the Scots had to do was just encircle the end of the bridge, wait for enough English soldiers to cross over, and then just attack them with their spears and their axes. And it's actually said that the River Forth was running red that day with English blood. So it was a great victory for the Scots, the Battle of Stirling Bridge, and it spurred Wallace on to many more campaigns, but it all went wrong for him about a year later at the Battle of Falkirk, not too far away from here, when he was defeated on a conventional battlefield, and a huge price was put on his head and he had to go on the run. So he escaped over to Europe to try and get some help for the Scottish cause, came back here in 1305 ready to fight again. But when he got back here he was betrayed by a guy called the Earl of Menteith. And in the film it's Robert the Bruce that betrays Wallace to the English. Probably the bit the Scots get most angry about, because Robert the Bruce, as we'll tell you later, pretty much the greatest hero this country's ever known. He's hugely slandered in that film. It wasn't him at all, it was the Earl of Menteith told the English where they could find Wallace. They came up here, took him to London and put him on trial for treason. And his defence against the charge of treason was quite good. He said, look, Edward is not my king. Never signed allegiance to Edward, so how am I going to commit treason against him? Which is an excellent point. But unfortunately for Wallace, it was Edward making the rules, and he was sentenced to death. Hung, drawn and quartered at Smithfield's Market in London. His head chopped off and put on a spike on London Bridge, and the rest of his body cut into 4 quarters and sent to the 4 corners of Scotland as a warning to anybody who tried to stand up against Edward I. So there you go, that's the true story of William Wallace. Lots of mistakes in the film, obviously, and I will tell you about some of those when we get back on the bus, but in the meantime we're just driving up the Abbey Craig Hill here, where it all began, and we'll stop in here for the Wallace Monument. This was put here in 1861, so almost 600 years after Wallace was executed. His legend was big enough for people to build this thing to him. Now you can walk up to the base of the monument, guys. I wouldn't really recommend paying to go in, because you don't have time to see it properly, and I've just told you the story anyway, and it's a much more impressive building from the outside than the inside in my opinion. But you can climb the hill, you'll get good views out across Stirling, you'll see the